Welcome back, guys, to another episode of In Search of Lan. My name is James, and funnily enough, I have a guest called James here today, Mr. James Reiner. How are you doing, man?
Hey, what's going on? Thanks for having me on the show.
Anytime, man, anytime. So, who is James Reiner, and what does he do?
Hey, so James Reiner is me. So I'm just like a guy who loves Shenmue, and in the Shenmue communities, I am a co-administrator of the Facebook group Shenmue 500K. And outside of that, I do a bit of story theorizing in the Shenmue universe, as well as making modifications to the game so that people can, enjoy Shenmue mods.
Like, obviously, you're a huge fan of Shenmue, so how did you actually get into it?
So, my history with Shenmue starts at the very early days. So when I was like a really young kid back in like 1999, 1998, I had a subscription to the official US Sega Dreamcast magazine, which I think was, it started I think I guess 1999, and I kept seeing these articles about a game called Shenmue, and at the time I was really young and I was, used to the games at the time, and I kept seeing this game, and I was like, wow, this game looks amazing, the graphics, what they're saying about the story, like as a little kid, it blew my mind as I was looking at it in the magazine. And the day Shenmue came out, I was actually at a Blockbuster. If you're actually like near my area, it's the Blockbuster in East Brunswick on Route 18. Represent. It's not there anymore, which I'm really sad. I was actually
man.
Ago, and I was like, no, my Shenmue home is gone.
I was so sad when Blockbuster went in the UK as well. That happened here as well. It was terrible.
Yeah, there's actually still a couple left here in the U.S., but nowhere near my part of the country. So anyway, so I was at Blockbuster looking to rent the Dreamcast game, and I remember very well I was renting D2, thinking it was Dead or Alive 2, because I was a really young kid. Now, mind you, for those of you who know Dreamcast games, D2 is very different from Dead or Alive 2. And that would have been a big mistake because I'm a fraidy cat. So I'm at the counter and I look at the guy, right? And I was like, wait a second. Shenmue might be out. I need to ask, excuse me, do you have a copy of Shenmue? And he's like, well, yes, we do. And I was like, can I please have it? So I took the D2 and just went.
Threw that one away. Cancel that one.
Yeah, right. Get out of here. Not begging to play. Nah, D2 was awesome. And so he gave me the copy of Shenmue and told me I have like a week or whatever to play through it. And I took it home. I put it in my Dreamcast. I told my mom and dad, I was like, Mommy, Daddy, I'm gonna be in my room for a couple hours. Just don't bother me. It's like I was like 11 at the time. And I turn on my Dreamcast. I plug it into my old school CRT TV. And right when that first main menu pops up, I was sold.
Yeah, man.
There was just so much feeling to it in just the menus. It was like, as a little kid, it like drags you in. And then when you get to that first cutscene and you just see, when I saw this breathing world existing, coming from just seeing photos of it in Dreamcast magazine, I was just blown away. And ever since then, I've been addicted since like literally the first time I played it. So
let's get this one out of the way as well. What were you doing when Shenmue 3 was announced? Did you watch the conference live?
Yes, I did.
Nice.
So a little bit of time before the conference, I kind of there was a kind of a feeling like something would happen because of all the social media things going on, and like Sony responding to us when we're yelling "Save Shenmue" at them on Twitter. And Yu Suzuki coming back onto Twitter and tweeting out the forklift that he did. I kind of had a feeling that something was going to happen. And so I was like, I got to watch Sony's conference. So I ditched work early. I came home. I turned on my PS4 and I was just like, bam, at the screen. Right. And so I was actually baking cookies in my oven.
Yeah.
And as I was baking cookies, all I hear is Adam Boyce come on, and he's saying like, "Oh, we got an announcement. This is a game that Sony fans have been very, 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 very
passionate
vocal
about. Whatever, yeah. Oh, vocal. Yeah, true. Yeah.
Vocal, yeah. So I'm just like, I was like, no way. There's actually going to be an announcement. And then the background music came on, and the tears
Yep,
just
the tears rolled out.
You know what's interesting is that if you were to watch the conference live, like within Sony's actual in the press conference room,
Mm.
the first tile you see is for the past 14 years, but the first tile people on the stream saw was the second tile, which was Shenmue's story was left incomplete, which I found interesting. So anyway, so I heard the music come on, and like I immediately just like snapped, and I was like, wait a second, this is actually happening. Like I didn't know, like, is it Shenmue 3, Shenmue HD, some spin-off, Shenmue Online magically comes back to life? I have no idea. And so the Shenmue story was left incomplete, and I could not believe it. Like my brain was not processing it. And as soon as like Yu Suzuki started talking and all that, I finally got the grips. And my roommate was there at the time, and I just I was it was bad.
Speechless. It was
I
bad.
was
Yeah.
I was uncontrollably like crying, and
Yeah.
I actually filmed my whole reaction. It's on my YouTube channel.
Oh, dude,
And-
I'll link that down below. Everyone, go check that out. Definitely.
And so the conference went through, and like they brought Yu Suzuki on stage, and I'm just like, yes, because not even just because Shenmue, but Yu Suzuki is such a strong figure in the game industry.
That's me to see him
like-
at E3 after such a long time.
Exactly,
it
like
was-
it was
it was
nice
good.
to see him get the recognition that he deserves at an
Definitely.
industry event.
I've always
mean-
I've always like thought that with Suzuki. Like, he's never got the recognition that, say Miyamoto or Kojima, that kind of recognition that he deserves.
Yeah,
But,
yeah.
but yeah, it was cool to see him at the conference. Sorry to interrupt you, James. You were saying?
No, it's okay. I'm like rambling on anyway. I see. Anyway, so yeah, so once the press conference was over, I literally did not even finish watching the Sony conference. I ran out of my apartment to start calling my co-admins of 500K, saying like, "Oh my god, we fucking did it." Excuse my language. Like, I call up Norris, one of our co-admins. I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my god," and he's like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and then so on and so forth. I actually called Adam Koralik too, and I'm just like on his voice, so I'm like, "Oh my god, oh my god, oh my god," and he actually in one of his Shenmue 3 videos, he was talking about random people calling him, and he's like,
That was
except for
you.
James. James, it was okay for you to do that, and I was just like, "Oh, all right, whew, all right, okay." All right, for a second I thought I was getting friend zoned. know?
Yeah.
I love you, Adam. Anyway, so yeah, that was pretty much my experience, like as the conference was going, and like till this day, I actually like ripped the audio from the E3 presentation, and like every morning I still listen to it because it reminds me to just have hope in things,
Definitely, yeah.
So.
It was like when I heard the music, I just got goosebumps instantly. I thought they were taking the piss, to be honest. I did not believe that it was actually happening. Like, it's just beautiful, isn't it? It is just beautiful.
Could you imagine if Sony was like, for the past 14 years, and the story was left incomplete, and then Adam Boyce just goes, "Psych!"
I know, it's still incomplete.
incomplete.
Yeah. There's no hope. Oh man, that would have been terrible. That would have been really bad. But yeah, carrying on with Shenmue 3, obviously, we've talked about that. It's been some time since number 2 was actually released. The gaming landscape has changed. The way people consume games has changed. Are there any aspects of the game which you were worried about? May that be, the fans' expectations? Is it going to live up to the old ones? Is there anything you're worried about?
So the one thing that does strike me, I wouldn't say worrying per se. As like a Shenmue fan, I understand why it's the way it is. But I think newcomers to the series could be possibly turned off a little bit because Shenmue's gameplay and like the atmosphere and the overall experience you get is very dependent on the location that the game takes place. So like Shenmue 1, you're in Ryo's hometown, and the game itself feels warming. It feels like you're around family. It feels like you're in a place that you're familiar with.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, like anybody would agree. Like when you're playing Shenmue 1, you feel like you're in comfortable, familiar territory.
Yeah.
except for when you fight the Mad Angels.
Them crazy
So,
bastards.
oh my god, I still have nightmares about that really tall dude at the end of the 80-man battle. Because
Oh.
dude, I try so hard to just when I'm running through the 80-man battle, I literally roundhouse kick everybody
Yeah, that's the way I used to
because
do it.
it's one hit KO, just like bam, bam,
Yeah.
bam, and then that last guy just kills me and it just ruins the whole streak. But anyway, I'm going off topic. So when you go into Shenmue 2, literally Rio is going to a new place. He's going somewhere he doesn't know, and like the gameplay and the music. In the perspective of somebody who comes from Japan, like on terms of Shenmue's story, it all feels very foreign. You don't know anybody. People are trying to screw you over. You're trying to find directions everywhere. And Shenmue 2's gameplay and like the overall experience mirrors that. Going into Shenmue 3, assuming Shenmue 3 covers what we all assume would be chapters 5 and 6, is the story of Ryo self-developing himself and finding inner peace and studying martial arts and becoming just like an overall better person who is not seeking revenge.
Yeah.
Which you kind of start to see at the end of Shenmue 2. And for that experience, or for that idea to be an overall experience in Shenmue 3, if it does follow that formula of Shenmue 1 and 2, which, knowing Yu Suzuki, I have no idea because his games are very, how should I say, like, they're very influential in a way where like you might know like what's going to happen, but like he describes games in such a way that they feel like very new and refreshing. Which is what we experienced when we went from Shenmue 1 to 2 and then going to Shenmue 3. Like I said, Ryo is becoming a better person and more spiritually sound instead of being hell-bent on revenge. And for the game to express that experience, the game has to feel very like somber. It has to feel very calming.
Quite
it has
calm,
to feel very it has to feel like you are alone as a beat down person being rebuilt from a spiritual standpoint. And I feel like a lot of people in this day and age expect games to be like in your face and like action,
shooting,
like shooting and all that. And I feel like Shenmue 3 won't really appeal to those kind of people.
Definitely.
So the thing that worries me is, since sadly it seems to be that the casual gamers are really into that, not to typecast everybody. Obviously, I'm making a big generalization right now.
Yeah.
I feel like Shenmue might get a bad image when the game itself perfectly describes what it's trying to do, but people make it look bad because they say it's quote unquote boring.
Yeah. That's the same problem 1 and 2 had, basically, wasn't it?
Yeah. Most people expect it to be like in your face, but like a lot of people don't understand that Shenmue is an experience.
Exactly.
Some people would argue it's not even a game, although it is because it has fail states and everything that makes a game. But it's an experience. Like, you're living the life of this person, and you as the player are developing with this person. So I just feel like going into Shenmue 3, like, people will probably think it's kind of boring, and then a lot of people won't understand why it's the way it is because they never played the first 2 games, because the first 2 games are pretty obscure in the fact that they're for the Dreamcast and the original Xbox.
Dude, this is why Sega need to release Shenmue HD, man. There, that is the reason why. You know what I mean? It's just,
exactly.
Oh, it's shocking. Like, it is shocking.
Yeah, they really need to. Like, even if they can't get the licenses for everything, like the music or whatever, at least get something out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like, videos don't help. Like, the DVD that came with Shenmue 2 on the Xbox,
terrible,
absolute garbage. Does not represent the game in any way.
Definitely.
The only thing I will say that comes good out of that is the audio remastering that they did was pretty cool. But other than that, total crap. So, so that's really the thing that worries me about Shenmue 3.
Yeah, definitely. It's, as you mentioned, like, most gamers seem to be into more action orientated games these days.
Yeah.
And
Call of Duty.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh, true. Yeah. Oh gosh.
Azuki Warfare.
And this, it's obviously with number 3 taking place in a much more like rural location. As you mentioned, it'll actually lend better to that whole calm atmosphere,
Yeah.
But obviously, true Shenmue fans will appreciate that when compared to casual, gamers. But yeah, hopefully it does well. And we got number 4 then, hopefully.
Yeah, that's what scares me, because if Shenmue 3 doesn't do well at retail, there's a possibility we might not get a Shenmue 4 and 5, and we'll be left at another cliffhanger. And Yu Suzuki said himself he'll have to find a successor. I don't know if that means that somebody to take over the series for him, or like another game to take what Shenmue
Was
formed.
trying to get across. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and that really makes me sad from like a super fan standpoint.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Like I sit there day and night thinking about what like the ending of Shenmue would be,
Mm. And
and
yeah, and
like
that feeling to know that we might never ever actually get that ending, yeah, it's heartbreaking. It is, isn't it? You know.
yeah. To be honest, like with all the theories going on between us theorists, I think I have a pretty good idea as to where Shenmue is going, but
Mm.
I would like to actually know if we could prove it or not.
Mm.
So
So, as with all things, we all have our own personal tastes and preferences. So, out of the two games, which one would you rate the best? I'd personally go for the first one, mainly for nostalgic reasons.
yeah.
But which one is it for you?
So I like to think of Shenmue 1 and 2 as like kind of the same thing.
Mm.
For me, Shenmue is like an experience, and actually, Mike Huber made it like he kind of put it in a cool way. Like Shenmue 2 is merely an extension of Shenmue, and the whole thing is just like one huge experience.
Mm.
But if I were to segregate the two games, including What's Shenmue,
Mm.
because What's Shenmue I feel like is kind of a whole different game than Shenmue 1.
That's the one with the old Sega president, isn't it? When you have
Yeah,
to
it was.
run,
It
yeah,
was. It was like the Japanese. I guess you could call it a demo of the first game,
yeah,
but
yeah.
it actually has gameplay differences in it. There's like a crouch button and stuff.
Oh, fair play.
So yeah. Anyway, so I would say my favorite. I would have to go with Shenmue 2,
Mm.
and the reason being is because Shenmue 2 is really where the storyline starts to hit a very deep note, and it's where you get a sense of what Shenmue is really. I mean, I can't say this technically because I'd never played, Shenmue 3 or 4 or 5. But Shenmue 2 kind of gives you a feeling as to what the series is trying to do.
Mm.
My understanding of what Shenmue is doing is that, it's telling the story of Ryo trying to get revenge for his father's death. But, and spoiler alert, super spoiler alert, throughout Shenmue 2, you start to see Ryo learn these lessons like the Four Wudu, and it starts to become apparent that in his mind he's starting to gain the conditioning where maybe revenge isn't
the right path,
the answer.
Yeah,
it's not the answer to what he's seeking.
Mm.
And the process of watching Ryo break down, and then like when you get to the very end with Shenfa, he starts to talk about how he feels like maybe revenge. He doesn't feel like he wants it anymore, and you start seeing him become a more spiritual person.
Mm.
It's those like storyline elements that make me really enjoy Shenmue 2, because as somebody who's been through a lot in his own life as well, like I kind of relate to Ryo through like the whole idea of self-development and all that. So like it kind of feels more personal to me.
Yeah.
As well as I also like how Shenmue 2 kind of conditions the player as well as Ryo. So like for instance, when you're learning the Four Wudu, the game makes you do mini games for to learn the Four Wudu, and the mini games actually exemplify the idea that they're teaching. Like for instance, when you go to Zhang Yu's barbershop, and
he tells you not to move, not
yeah,
to press.
he tells you the Wudu that you're learning is to stay calm in general terms, and the mini game is to be in the barber chair and
not succumb to the QTE.
Yes. Pretty much don't feel any menace. Remain calm when there's immediate danger.
Yeah.
And as the player, the game expresses that to the player because it shows you a QTE. It shows you something that you have to react to. But in that particular instance, you cannot react to it to continue. And that creates a mental condition in the player to remain calm when they see this thing like blinking in their face.
Yeah.
So I find that absolutely beautiful that it does that. And like for instance, also when you're catching the leaves with over in the tree.
I love that bit of the game. I love that.
Yeah,
bit.
behind Manmo Temple. Now that's not for a Wudu per se, but it's kind of within the same idea.
Yeah.
Where she's not going to teach Ryo anything unless he can clear his mind and remain calm through like focusing, and the player has to use focus to keep the little to keep the camera like on the falling leaves.
Yeah, in the middle. Yeah.
To be able to succeed in the mini game.
Yeah.
And then another great example, and this is also kind of a technical example, is during the mini game when you have to find and it's either punch or block the guy who plays the Chinese instrument outside on Kowloon's Dragon Street. You eventually meet him in a dark room,
Oh, I know
and
it. Yeah,
he
I remember. Yeah.
teaches you to fight without the use of your eyesight, so
Yeah.
that you focus with your mind.
Mm.
And the mini game is represented in a way where the player has to not rely on visual cues, because you can see the guy swerving around you, but he's too fast for you to visually think about it. But if you play with headphones, which is not really an idea that a lot of people had back then, that like
Yeah.
audio was represented through these things, like in a way that you can't hear it through normal speakers.
So that's
You
surround
have to
sound.
listen to where he is in 360 space to be able to complete that mini game efficiently. So it's teaching the player to use different senses that you normally wouldn't think to use naturally to find where someone is. And those ideas expressed in Shenmue 2 mean so much to me that's why I like Shenmue 2 much better than Shenmue 1. Also, one other thing, from a modding standpoint, Shenmue 2 is a lot of fun because there's a lot of hidden stuff on those discs that that are never used in the game at all. So Shenmue 2 also has a lot of hidden things in it that kind of give us
hints
about where Shenmue 3 is going. Like, for instance, there's unused loading screens. One for like
the village one there or something. Or was there an actual space of the village you could go in at one point?
There's one for Meow Village. There's one for, I think, Ma Guang Temple. And they're just left on the disc. And props to a community member, Lan DC, for finding all that stuff back in the day. So from a technical standpoint, it's also very interesting. There's also unused character models in Shenmue 2. There are some in Shenmue 1, I believe, but Shenmue 2 has character models for people that look like they would be in Bailu Village, but they're nowhere in the game. I actually did a video on that as well, about the unused assets in Shenmue 2 on my YouTube channel.
What's your favorite part of Shenmue, the first one?
My favorite part of Shenmue 1 is all of the side phone calls and all of the cutscenes with Nozomi.
Yes.
Because Shenmue 1 is a beautiful game. And I'm a sucker for romance.
Yeah, same here, man.
And I always really enjoyed watching the interactions between Ryo and Nozomi, because it was just so sweet and innocent, and like it was cute.
Yeah, you could tell they were blatantly in love with each other, but just one of them was just not willing to say it. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it was, plus like Nozomi's voice in the English dub was so like soothing, and like that voice actress was amazing at Nozomi. And so it was like every cutscene between them seemed so intimate and so human that except for Ryo being like, I don't know what to do. Girls, oh my god. Anyway, no, I'm just kidding. Oh man. No, yeah, I always liked the depth that Nozomi would go to, like, emotionally. I like the fact that you can read on her face that she's upset when she won't say it. Like, just those things are mind blowing that they're able to do that back in in the days of Shenmue's development. Oh man, my favorite part of Shenmue 2, aside from getting lost in Kowloon, 14 years later, and I still have no idea how to get to Stand Quarter.
It's just huge, isn't it?
Yeah, it's ridiculous. Like, I'll be like, where is, where's the wire tap? I don't know. Dude, I'm such a tourist. So I guess my real favorite part of Shenmue 2 is definitely the end. The last chapter of Shenmue 2, when you're interacting with Shenfa. I especially, spoiler alert, the part where you see the Shenmue tree outside of Shenfa's house, because those particular instances, especially like when Ryo says, like, he looks at the tree and he says, like, oh, it feels, there's some spiritualness going on, and then you have Shenfa's flashback scene, which is a whole nother conversation.
You did a video about that, didn't you?
Did I?
I think you did. I think I remember seeing a video about it somewhere.
I think it's in my Shenmue 3 discussion series.
I think so.
Oh man, I got to update that series. I kind of just forgot.
Dude, you got to. That's one of my next questions.
Sorry, guys. Anyway, so yeah, those parts give you a sense that Shenmue is going down a spiritual route
Yeah.
in the story that we kind of couldn't see
Mm.
until that point. Like the level of mysticism that the story is starting to dive into,
Mm. I
and
mean,
that's why that's my favorite part, and that's also why Shenmue 2 is my favorite game.
yeah, it's something because like obviously the story takes like it's a huge like left turn, isn't it? Because the game has been like grounded in reality, for
Yeah.
Shenmue 1 and 2, and then it's just like this total switch at the end. But I feel like it really, there are subtle hints that the story was going to go that way, even far back as Shenmue 1, you know. But it's really cool. I can't wait for Shenmue 3 to see how it all fits together. But yeah, so your favorite part of Shenmue 2 is greeting, yeah, that whole chapter.
Oh yes.
Nice, nice. Is there any particular bits, like, apart from the Shenmue tree? Or, like, how do you feel about the ending?
Oh.
Or is that a
Um,
whole nother topic? you know?
to answer the first part of your question, aside from the Shenmue tree, I really like the scenes when you're just walking with Shenfa, and
In
you
the
can
forest,
either
yeah.
choose to talk to her, or you
Yeah.
can choose to tell her to get out, come on, go. What are you doing? No, just tell me about the damn flowers. I don't care. I always found that part very intimate,
yeah.
and it's also refreshing to see a game character
Mm.
so down to earth,
Mm.
and so passionate about nature and all that. Like I grew up in the woods, on a farm here in New Jersey, and so like I'm always traveling around in the forest behind my house. So
Yeah.
for me personally, I find that those talks very interesting.
Mm.
And to answer the second part of your question about the ending, so I have two different views about or a couple different views about the ending of Shenmue. Um, Originally, when I was a kid, when I beat Shenmue 2 for the first time, which took absolutely forever because that game is hard as
I know,
balls.
especially in Kowloon, isn't it? When you've got to do
Yeah.
the fighting bits to get into the Yellowhead, like, that's
Uh,
insane. I used to find that so hard, man.
in this day and age, I can beat Chun Yin
Mm.
like first
Yeah,
shot.
obviously going back now, but then like when I was younger, I was shit at video games.
Yeah. I always had trouble with Greg Moore, the guy who could just like literally tornado throw you out the ring.
I had trouble with them
Just
all.
like, yo, like Greg, come on, bro. Like give me a fucking shot here.
I know, it's like, come on.
I would say the hardest part for me is those damn planks in the Ghost Hall building.
Oh, dude, yeah, they were terrible, weren't they? I remember
Yeah,
getting right to the top and then just failing.
yeah.
It's pissed
I
me off.
either save right before the plank and just reset the Dreamcast and reload the save, or nowadays I just use the map glitch and glitch through the barriers so that I can actually use the stairs and just go up.
Dude, you were gonna have to show me how to do that, please.
I never recorded it, but I think one of the speed runs of Shenmue done by Puri Puri, I think his username
Yeah,
is.
I watch him on
Uh,
Twitch. Yeah, he's good.
yeah, I think he did it in one of his videos by using the map glitch just to bypass some of the walls.
Mm.
But yeah, that's the hardest part of Shenmue 2, and it's just
Stressful.
uh, and it's weird too to see Rio like die because you failed,
Yeah.
So yep. I would say the other hard part is following Yuan back to his hotel room.
Oh yeah,
And I said,
the
and
transvestite.
yeah, I
Yeah.
say his, like, for those who don't know, in the original Japanese version, Yuan is a man.
Yeah.
So I say his. Only because I'm not a big. I'm not very much into that part of the game. I get more of a kick out of just running up to Yuan, and Ren's just like, "No, wait, what are you doing? Like, oh my god, Rio, Sugoi denied this." So, yeah, I would say those are the hardest parts of
The
the game.
game, yeah. So you're known in the community for the hacks you've worked on with the games.
People,
How how difficult is it to mod and manipulate the Shenmue games? Are there any particular hurdles you have to overcome in order to actually be able to manipulate them?
So it depends on when you're talking about. Nowadays, a lot of the people in the Dreamcast scene wrote tools
Mm.
that we can use to mod Shenmue that make the process a lot less stressful. Which, like, thank you guys so much. To name some people, Kakazawa, Sizius Dreamcast, of course. People like why am I forgetting their name? Oh, DC SWAT Team is another one. Il Ducci's team. They all made a bunch of tools that make modding Shenmue, a lot less difficult. But I will say, modding Shenmue is kind of. It depends on what you want to do. Say, like, if you want to swap characters. Swapping characters, like taking NPCs and turning them into other people, like turning Joy into Shuing, turning Joy into, I don't know, Dawn Yu, which is really watching Dawn Yu ride a motorcycle. Or turning Baihu into Lan Di to fight Lan Di, because they use the same fighting style. Little lore for you. It's easy to do because we have the tools to just modify the two files we need to modify to be able to do that. Like in Shenmue 1, say like if you want to make one of the mods I've been working on for a while, like 3 years, is a rideable bike in Shenmue 1, because for those who don't know, there was a rideable bike at one point, but it was taken out of the game. So I made an initiative to put it back in the game. And to be able to do that, you have to modify a lot of different things at a hexadecimal level. So like opening files in a hex editor and using trial and error to adjust, so many lines of code.
How long does that process take? Is it is it really time consuming?
Yes, very time consuming.
Yeah.
Because for one, I don't know how to do it, so it's all trial and error. For two, you have to calculate like endian numbers and like all this other hexadecimal mumbo jumbo, and then you have to build the game from its game files into a playable Dreamcast image. Like, it's very time consuming.
Is it easier to do on the Dreamcast or the Xbox? Because I noticed when we chatted before, you mentioned that you do it on your Xbox as well. Is it easier to do it on there compared to the Dreamcast?
It depends on what you want to do. Like I said before.
Okay. Yeah.
The good thing with the Xbox version is that with a modded Xbox, you don't need to compile anything.
Nice.
They're literally just files on a hard drive, and you could just edit any file, execute the game, and hope to goodness it launches. So the other cool thing about the Xbox, from an infrastructural and coding standpoint, when it was ported from the Dreamcast, they took a lot of like shortcuts to get the game to work, like certain files being negated and then like combining packages, different packages, and all this other crazy stuff, so that it's quicker to do certain hacks than it would be on the Dreamcast, because you have to modify less things and you don't have to compile anything. But the problem with the Xbox version is that a lot of the documentation that us modders have done is on the Dreamcast. For instance, myself and one other hacker created pretty much a modding knowledge base on the internet, and it was mostly for the Dreamcast. Like, for instance, the way the notebook works in Shenmue 2 on the Xbox is very different than the way the notebook works on the Dreamcast.
In what aspect? Like visually, or just at a game, a coding level?
If you want to change what the notebook says.
Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
So like, there's differences here and there. In some ways it's easier, in some ways it's harder. It literally just boils down to what you're trying to do.
Okay, man. And then obviously on hacking again, you say you've been working on it for 3 years.
Yeah.
When are we gonna have a release, man? When are we gonna be able to ride our bikes around Dobrita? Come on, man.
You're killing me.
Put you on the spot.
No, I'm sorry. So outside of the Shenmue world, I work like 80 hours a week, and so I have like no time. So my problem is that, for one, like, I don't have enough time to work on it, and for two, I don't even know if it's like entirely possible because of the way you have to hack the game to do it. It involves like hijacking AI functions to be able to get Rio to call the AI functions that NPCs would use to get on the bike, and then hoping that the game doesn't crash because of CRC mischecks and all that crazy stuff. It's a lot of hacking. Like, I've already modified like trial and error, at least, like thousands of lines of hex to be able to try to get it to do what it's doing. I'm also learning a version of assembly so that I can actually deconstruct the game almost at a code level and change it that way.
Would that be a lot easier then with it to do
it?
No.
Oh man, it's like the difference between programming in Java and programming in assembly.
Fair enough.
For all those programmers out there, they know what I'm talking about. It's it's much more difficult because you're at such a lower level, closer to the code, that things are not obvious. There's
Yeah.
no obvious variable names. There's no obvious things here and there. Like, you have to actually think of it from a workflow standpoint. So,
All right, cool, man.
so probably never, to be honest.
You hear to hear, folks. You know.
Yeah, right. I finally admit it. I have no idea how to do it. I've gotten very close at certain points.
Yeah.
I actually fried a Dreamcast doing it because at one
Oof.
point I was actually trying to hack the RAM live.
Hmm.
And
Is that a bad idea?
Yeah, I don't know how to solder, and I don't know how to construct machinery.
Hmm.
So I wound up like burning a hole into my Dreamcast trying to solder something to it, and then I burnt my hand with my soldering iron because I'm a dum dum, and it was a bad day. Actually, I had that Dreamcast like right there. Now that Dreamcast is pretty much dead, or at least the board is. So I bring that Dreamcast now to conventions for people to sign it.
Oh, nice. How many signatures have you got on there?
Yeah, I can actually show you.
Yeah, sure, man.
I am not joking. I have many signatures. This is my dead Dreamcast I broke when
That's cool.
when making the bike mod. Some notable signatures: Danny Sexbang from Ninja Sex Party, Bruce and Gus from oh
yeah, that one. Yeah.
hold on, it'll come to me. Well, it's Bruce from Funhouse, and then Gus is the owner of the mother company. Why am I forgetting their name? Oh yeah, Rooster Teeth.
Okay.
I got Brental Floss on here. I got I have Super Bunny Hop on here.
Nice, Super Bunny Hop. He's great YouTuber. He is, man.
Yeah,
That's great work.
George is an awesome dude. And then some other people. Some other notable YouTubers. Dr. Kendo Commentaries. I think I also have Aaron Hansen from Game Grumps on here.
Oh, nice.
I had Oni Cartoons, Oni, Chris O'Neill, he signed it. It's cool. I don't know. It's just a dead sad Dreamcast, so I try to make it happy by having people write on it.
Right on it, yeah. So, talking about YouTube, you have a YouTube channel.
Yes.
We did slightly touch on your Shenmue 3 theories series. Is that something you're going to do again, man? Because I really want to see some more. I love those videos. They're great.
Well, the problem that I'm running into with my Shenmue 3 discussion series is that I covered pretty much everything I wanted to talk about. So I'm waiting for more information of Shenmue 3 to come out, mainly the story, so that I can craft new topics to talk about.
Yeah. Okay, cool.
So
cool.
I have some ideas in mind. I'm focusing more on mod videos when it comes to Shenmue. I'm actually doing theory videos for other games right now as well.
Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, yes. I did a FNAF theory video, which was approved by Dawko. Thank you very much. And outside of that, I'm gonna also point that series to Shenmue. So I'm gonna be working on Shenmue theories. I've done Shenmue theory work before, like on video. Like me and a co-admin of 500K Norris did a theory discussion on all those GDC tiles that Yu Suzuki showed us at the GDC panel for Shenmue.
Yeah.
I'm going to be doing theories like, for instance, using lore items, you can kind of make a claim that it's possible that Iwao Hazuki could possibly have trained Shuing, which is a very kind of a far-fetched idea when you think about, or when at first glance. When you think about it, there's a lot of connecting items between them two. Mostly dependent on the fact that Shuing does Baji Quan. And Baji Quan, like I guess I'll dive into it for a little bit. Baji Quan. Baji Quan was invented in the I think it's a northern province in China, the Hebei province. And Meng Sun is considered one of the founding areas of Baji Quan. And it just so happens that Iwao Hazuki potentially killed somebody in Meng Sun.
Yeah.
So that's like the general gist of it. But you can go a little deeper into that. But that'll be
on the next video for you.
Yeah, that'll be for a video, because there's a lot to talk about. So
yeah.
And then there's like other things like what is Chai to the Chiyu Men? Who are the Chiyu Men? What does the word Chiyu Men actually mean? because it's lost in translation between the Japanese and the English versions. There's just a lot of theory videos that I would like to cover on the YouTube channel. So.
Sweet, man. So, taking a step back from Shenmue now, I know you're involved with voice acting.
A little bit, yes.
A little bit, yeah. How did you get into that? Is that something that you're aspiring to do?
So, voice acting has always been kind of an interesting thing to me. I've always had a lot of respect for people who can do impressions of things, just because I always thought it was cool.
Do an impression, man. Go on. On the spot, come
on. My impressions aren't that good. I would never really aspire to be a voice actor, but a lot of people have told me that. I say a lot of people. I mean, like two people. Have told me that I'm good at like doing different voices. Actually, I could do a pretty decent voice of the guy from Shenmue 2 in the beginning that tells you to arm wrestle Jimenez Garcia.
Oh yeah, go on, man. Go on.
Hang on.
Prepare yourselves, guys. Prepare yourselves.
All right, give me 1 second to prepare. It's kind of a deep voice like this. Hey, samurai boy, how about an arm wrestle? First one's for $10. The higher the bet, the more excited he gets. How about it?
Man, that was like a cross between Solid Snake and Solid Snake.
It does kind of sound like Solid Snake. Yeah, I don't know. So to actually getting into voice acting, I mainly got in because I wouldn't really consider myself a voice actor per se, but I did do some voice work because I became friends with a couple developers just through being in the Shenmue communities.
Yeah.
So some people decide to make fan games and they're like, "Hey, James, you know how to change your voice a little bit.
You know how to talk.
You know how to talk for hours. Why don't you go do some voices for us? I don't care if you're good or not. You just won't complain." So I'm doing voice work for 2 Shenmue fan games actually right now, and one game that's not connected to Shenmue but is being done by a Shenmue community member. So.
Okay, sweet, man, sweet.
Yep.
Well, that's all, James. That's all the questions I had for you prepared.
Oh
man.
no! No, I don't want to leave this yet. We gotta talk about Shenmue.
Is there anything you're working on at the moment that you'd like to plug? The audience can go and check it out. Maybe tell us your Twitter and your YouTube channel.
Sure. So you can find me on Twitter at Shengoro86. Shengoro86 being my common username for the Shenmue groups. You can find me on Shenmue Dojo as Shengoro86. You can find me on YouTube with a totally different name because I don't know why. I made this YouTube channel back in like 2005. I'm a huge FLCL fan, so my YouTube channel name is youtube.com/Lord Conti.
Fair enough.
The character Lord Conti. You can find me on Instagram at Shengoro86. I post a lot of random bullshit on there. Some Shenmue stuff, some random stuff. I don't know, video games and all that jazz. You can find me on PSN at Shengoro86 if you want to play some games sometime. Like when Shenmue 3 comes out.
Oh my god.
Add me, please. I need friends. Please help. Yeah. I'm stuck in this room all day.
so alone.
I cry every time.
All right, man. This is taking a wrong turn, isn't it?
So that's pretty much all my social medias.
Yeah. All right, sweet, James. Well, as we had a chat about earlier, hopefully we can bring you back on. Hopefully on a monthly basis. That would be great. Please look forward to more Mr. James Reiner. Please. Yeah. Please be excited.
Yeah, I heard he's a pretty interesting guy. He knows a lot about Shenmue,
Well, James, thanks very much for taking the time out of your day, man. And I'll catch you soon, man.
Yeah, totally. Thanks for having me on the show. I really had a lot of fun today. Acting crazy and all that fun stuff.
Crazy. All right, sweet,
crazy man. Taxi. You got 10 crazy minutes.
Man, I always used to love Crazy Taxi. Trying to get to KFC as quick as you can, man.
Yeah,
it's amazing. It's like real life.
Every time I listen to The Offspring in my car, I literally have to speed. and just like pass every single car just by like a little I don't know millimeter.
Gotta make that fair, man.
Crazy money,
That crazy money. Yeah.
All right, man. Thank you so much for having me on the show. Everybody, thank you for watching. The Shenmue community has been super strong, and I really appreciate everybody for everything they do. I might not post to Shenmue 500K much, but I read literally everything because it's all I do. And I would like to personally say as well, thank you to everybody who has worked on getting Shenmue 3 to be a reality, getting the series back off the ground, allowing Yu Suzuki to fulfill his passion, and always just being so awesome and positive towards the series, and just never losing hope. Like 14 years, and we see results. So I would like to personally say thank you to everybody. It's been a wild ride, and
Definitely,
it's something I'll
definitely.
remember for the rest of my life. Like I can't wait till I'm like an old
You know,
shriveled up
you know
James
that
Ryan.
Shenmue, man.
back in your day, back in my day, we used to walk 15 miles to go campaign about Shenmue 3.
Oh, dude. Man, I dread to think when I'm old and grey that Shenmue isn't complete. I fucking dread that day.
Yeah,
I really do.
yeah, I fuck. I mean, if it gets to that point, I
Yeah, let's not talk about that.
yeah,
It was all nice and positive then, wasn't it?
yeah. No, that's
Yeah.
like we proved we have proven that with the right methods and the amount of like volume, our voices can be heard. And I feel like if Shenmue 3, if any issues actually happen, we will resolve them. So
Awesome stuff, James. Well, again, thanks for coming on, mate. I've had a great time. It's been
yeah,
awesome. Sweet.
thank you so much for having me.